Have you ever wondered why the Israel-Palestine conflict, one of the world's longest-running disputes, remains unresolved? It's a question that baffles many of us. The complexity of this conflict is immense, touching on issues of identity, religion, land, and power. Its ripples have reverberated across the globe, influencing international politics and shaping the contours of the Middle East. It has ignited passions, sparked debates, and at times, turned deadly. Join us as we delve into the timeline of this enduring conflict from its early beginnings to the present day. The roots of the Israel-Palestine conflict trace back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Diving into the annals of history, we find the birth of two powerful movements that would shape the destiny of this region: Zionism and Arab nationalism. Zionism, a Jewish nationalist movement, emerged in Europe in the late 19th century. Its goal? To establish a sovereign Jewish state in Palestine, the ancient homeland of the Jews. This was seen as a solution to widespread anti-Semitism and the persecution of Jews in Europe. Meanwhile, in the same period, Arab nationalism was brewing in the Middle East. This political ideology aimed to unite Arabic-speaking nations under one flag, celebrating a shared history, culture, and language. And central to this vision was Palestine, a land where Arabs had been living for centuries. But then, in 1917, a game-changer: the Balfour Declaration, a letter from British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour to Lord Rothschild, a leader of the British Jewish community. In it, Balfour expressed Britain's support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. This was a massive boost for the Zionist movement, but it also planted the seeds of discontent among the Arab population. Following the Balfour Declaration, Britain took control of Palestine under a League of Nations mandate. The British Mandate of Palestine, as it was known, saw an increase in Jewish immigration to the region. But this wasn't a peaceful transition. Tensions started to rise between the Jewish immigrants and the Arab locals. Accusations of land dispossession, political marginalization, and cultural displacement began to fly. Clashes erupted, violence escalated, so there we have it: the emergence of Zionism and Arab nationalism, the Balfour Declaration, the British Mandate of Palestine. All of these elements simmering together started to boil over, creating a pressure cooker of ethnic, religious, and political tensions. The stage was set for a conflict that would span decades and impact millions of lives. In 1948, the State of Israel was born, but its birth was marked by war. This was a pivotal moment in the history of the Middle East. That year, the United Nations proposed the Partition Plan, aiming to divide the British Mandate of Palestine into two separate states, one Jewish and one Arab. The plan was met with mixed reactions. Jewish leaders accepted it, while Arab leaders rejected it, insisting on a unified Palestine where all citizens, regardless of religion, could live together. The rejection of the UN partition plan by the Arab states led to the eruption of a civil war. Jews and Arabs found themselves in a bitter struggle over the land, a struggle that escalated into the First Arab-Israeli War when Israel declared its independence in May 1948. This war involved not only the local Arab and Jewish communities, but also neighboring Arab states, who launched a military intervention in reaction to the formation of Israel. This period was not only marked by war but also by a significant displacement of people. For Palestinians, this time is known as the Nakba, or the catastrophe. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians fled or were expelled from their homes during the war, creating a refugee crisis that remains unresolved to this day. Despite the hostilities, Israel managed to not only survive but expand its territory beyond what was originally proposed in the UN partition plan. By the time armistice agreements were signed in 1949, Israel controlled much of the territory originally designated for the Arab state, while the West Bank was held by Jordan and the Gaza Strip by Egypt. In the aftermath of the war, the landscape of the Middle East was significantly altered. The state of Israel stood firm but at a high cost. The Palestinian people found themselves displaced, and the Arab world was left stunned by the events. The 1948 war set a precedent for the many conflicts to come. This war was the first of many in the Arab-Israeli conflict, a cycle of conflict that has persisted for over 7 decades. It marked the beginning of a complex and deeply rooted struggle, the echoes of which can still be heard today. The following decades saw a series of wars and attempts at peace. The Suez Crisis of 1956 was a pivotal moment, marking the first major military operation by Israel. This conflict arose when Egypt nationalized the Suez Canal, leading to a military response from Israel, France, and Britain. It ended with a ceasefire, but not before dramatically reshaping regional dynamics and international relations. Then came the Six-Day War in 1967. Israel, feeling threatened by neighboring Arab states, launched a preemptive strike. In just under a week, Israel had seized control of the Sinai Peninsula, the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. This rapid expansion of territory significantly heightened tensions and set the stage for future conflicts. In 1973, the Yom Kippur War broke out. Egypt and Syria, seeking to regain territories lost in the Six-Day War, launched a surprise attack on Israel on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. While Israel ultimately repelled the attack, the war had profound implications, leading to a shift in the global balance of power and prompting serious peace efforts. One such effort was the Oslo Accords in 1993 and 1995. These agreements marked the first direct, face-to-face agreements between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization. They aimed to lay the groundwork for a comprehensive peace agreement and establish a Palestinian Authority with limited self-governance. However, the accords were fraught with difficulties, and their ultimate goals remain unachieved. Despite numerous attempts, a lasting peace remained elusive. The new millennium brought new challenges and changes to the Israel-Palestine conflict. The early years saw the eruption of the Second Intifada, a Palestinian uprising against Israeli occupation. This period was marked by a wave of violent confrontations, but also by poignant moments of unity and shared suffering. As we move deeper into the 21st century, another significant event unfolded: the Gaza disengagement. Israel's decision to withdraw from the Gaza Strip was both hailed as a step towards peace and criticized as a strategic mistake. This move led to the rise of Hamas in Gaza, and a series of wars that further complicated the already tangled web of this conflict. In recent years, we have seen a shift in how the international community, particularly the United States, perceives this conflict. Sympathy for Palestinians is at an all-time high among Americans, as people become more aware of the complexities of the situation. This change is in part due to the role of social media in shaping perceptions of the conflict. Platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and even TikTok have become battlegrounds for narratives, with every post, tweet, or video having the potential to sway public opinion. Yet it's crucial to remember that this shift in perception is not uniform. While some Americans, particularly Democrats, are increasingly siding with Palestinians, support for Israel remains strong among others, notably Republicans and Christian evangelicals. This growing divide reflects the polarized nature of American politics and has significant implications for future policy decisions regarding the Israel-Palestine conflict. The role of social media in shaping perceptions cannot be overstated. From influencers girls-plaining the conflict, to viral posts garnering sympathy for Palestinians, the digital realm has become an integral part of this ongoing struggle. Yet it's important to approach these narratives with a critical eye, understanding that the reality on the ground is often far more complex than a single post or video can convey. The conflict continues to evolve, influenced by global politics and technological advances. As we look to the future, it's clear that understanding the past and present of the Israel-Palestine conflict is crucial for any hope of lasting peace. The Israel-Palestine conflict, spanning over a century, remains a major global issue. To summarize, this long-standing strife is rooted in territorial disputes, religious differences, and political ideologies. We've journeyed through the birth of Israel, the subsequent Arab-Israeli War, and the numerous attempts at peace that have unfortunately fallen short. In recent developments, we've seen an alarming uptick in tensions, resulting in tragic loss of life and a surge of international concern. Social media has played a significant role in shaping perceptions of the conflict, with sympathy for Palestinians reaching a new high, particularly among Democrats. Yet support for Israel remains strong, especially among Republicans and Christian evangelicals, leading to a growing divide in public opinion. Despite the complexity of the conflict and the challenges in achieving lasting peace, it's important to remember the human side of this issue. Behind the politics and territorial disputes are real people, living real lives, affected daily by the unrest. This conflict isn't just about land or religion, it's about the right to live in peace and security. The role of external influences from nations to individuals is crucial. Whether it's a right-wing government asserting control over holy sites, or a TikToker trivializing the situation, every action carries weight. The question isn't just who's right or wrong, but how can we create a sustainable, peaceful coexistence? As we continue to grapple with this issue, one question remains: when will a sustainable solution be found?